Today I'm going to be starting out with some BB cream, and even though I've got a little bit of redness on my cheeks and also a few spots down my jawline, I'm not going to cover those up completely, just because I want Scar to look a little bit rugged and I don't want him to have completely flawless skin. So the next thing I'm going to be using after that is the shade that I normally use as a contour shade, but instead of bringing this down towards my chin, instead I'm going to aim this up towards my nose to try and make the whole face a lot more angular. And this is going to be a process that we're going to be layering again and again. So this is just the first layer, which I'm then also going to bring down along the jawline, keep it away from the chin, but also keep it on the edge of the jawline, more on the face, just to try and sharpen all your features. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side of my face, and then also dust that down the bridge of my nose and a little bit on the insides of my cheeks as well. Try and bring that up onto the forehead too. I'm also going to take a smaller blending brush and apply a little bit of that contour colour just underneath my lower lip. And then we're going to be applying primer. I'm not going to be super neat with this, it's mainly just going to go right next to the lashes and then also the crease of the eye. I'm going to blend that out, and then taking that same contour colour, I'm going to apply that over the whole lid. I'm also going to be bringing that down the insides of the nose, along the edge of the nose, to try and contour that a little bit. Then before we start layering more eyeshadow colours on top of that, what I'm going to do is take that same colour, look right up at the ceiling if you can, and then try and get that colour right underneath the lashes so that you have a little bit of a tired look to your eyes. Before using more eyeshadow, I'm going to be using some rigid collodion. Now you do have to be careful with this because it can't go on the skin directly around your eyes, so the skin underneath your lower lashes and upper lashes, but you can use it on the skin which is a little bit close to your eyebrows. You do have to be careful with this though, because if it ends up on your eyebrows, it can take them out. I've done this, so trust me, I know. If you're worried about this, use a smaller brush like what I'm using now. Or what you can also do is take a little bit of Vaseline and put that over your eyebrows. That way if any rigid collodion does get onto it, it's not going to pull them out and it's going to have nothing to grip onto. Once that's dried and I have a scar, I'm going to be using a few different colours, which are red, brown and pink. I'm going to start off with the more pinky shade. I'm going to apply that all the way down the scar and blend it out with my fingers so that the edge looks really pink and irritated. Then I'm going to be moving on to a darker pink, and this is going to go just on the edges of the scar. It's going to make it stand out a lot more, and again, like before, you want to try and blend out those edges.
The sacrifice that you must make.
Now that that's all done, we're going to be moving back to the eyeshadow, and the first colour I'm going to be using is a brown which has a terracotta tone to it. This is going to go on the centre of the lid, on the upper lid, and it's going to be messy. In fact, all the eyeshadow is going to be messy. For the black colour that I'm using now, even though it looks black, it actually isn't. I'm going to be using a very dark grey and then layering that, just because if you start off with a very dark colour and you mess up, it's very, very hard to clean it up. Even though I want the eyeshadow to look quite messy and grungy here, we don't want to try and make it look like you've just slapped your eye with a black eyeshadow. It does have to look like there's a little bit of thought behind it. On the lower lid, I'm going to be getting that dark grey and getting this as close to the lashes as possible, but I'm going to bring that colour down, especially on the centre of the lower lid. This is what helps give you that guy liner look, which is very, very important to get right on this look. Then for the eyebrows, before I individually draw the eyebrow hairs, I'm going to thicken them up with that dark grey colour and then create a little bit of a pointed arch at the high point of my eyebrows. Now for the part that's not very good if you don't have a ton of patience. You want to take a very small brush, and this can be an art brush, a nail art brush, which is what I'm using. And I'm going to individually draw the hairs and then thicken them just at the arch with a bit more of that black eyeshadow and a small blending brush. Once that's all done, I'm going to take a black eyeliner, line the waterline, create a point in the inner corner, and then on the upper lid what you want to try and do is you want to run that colour as close to the lashes as possible. Afterwards we're going to be blending it out, so again, don't worry if it's a little bit messy, just get that as close into the lash line as possible and then blend it out with a brush. Whatever's left on the brush, I'm going to be bringing that right down on the edges of the nose to try and sharpen it out. And now we're going to be moving on to the next level of contouring. I'm going to be bringing this a little bit more along the temples to try and sharpen it out. And then what we need to start working on is the cheeks and the cheekbones. If you want to, take a smaller blending brush with a slightly darker colour just to try and make it look like you've got some real grooves down the sides of your cheeks. And then if you feel like that line is still a little bit too thick and obvious, go over it with a thicker brush to blend it all out. Now for the beard, I'm going to be using crepe hair. This is a video that I really should do a video all about it at some point, but I'm just going to do a quick run through just because there are so many other really good tutorials on YouTube all about it, which I will try and link in the description box. First thing you're going to need is the crepe hair. I'm going to be cutting that so it's completely flat, spreading out the edges so that they're nice and loose and so that there isn't a bunching anywhere. I've applied some prosthetic adhesive on my chin, waited for it to become tacky, and then I'm going to be sticking that down. And this is something that you're going to have to layer again and again. So you do one layer and then you apply another one. So if you've missed out an area and you can see that there's a patch, it's okay, you can layer more hair over it so that you can hide this. So don't worry if it's not completely perfect on the first go. It's all about layering at this point. And you are going to look a little bit like a lumberjack, but it's fine because once it's all there and stuck down, that's when you're going to start to trim it. On the very edges of the beard, I'm going to take a lighter brown and I'm going to push this down into the root so that it looks like there's more of a gradient. Now for the top part of the beard, I'm going to take an eyeshadow and I'm going to be applying this as a guideline for where I want to apply the beard, and also to make it look a little bit thicker so I don't have to apply so much hair. It's the same technique. Apply the prosthetic adhesive, wait for it to become tacky, make sure that the hair is nice and loose and there isn't any bunching, stick it down and then trim it down.
Give me your heart, give me your soul.
And now for yet another layer of contouring. Don't worry if you have to apply several layers of this, provided you make sure that everything's blended and it isn't obvious that there's a ton of brush marks, it's going to look absolutely fine. Just keep everything blended, keep layering until you're happy with the look.
The sacrifice that you must make.
And then we need to take the colour out of the lips, so I'm going to be using a concealer which is a little bit darker than my own skin tone, applying a darker shade just under the lip. Apply some green contact lenses, and that's it. You're done.